you to be students in the UK now without being able to contact your home nationally, your friends, your family. You probably feel a lot more isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah? So these are good things. Right? I'm going to show you the first clip before I start to get my teeth into the bad things. Yes. So, I'm going to give you a choice, because there isn't going to be time, I think, to watch all 4 clips. It's 3:30. So, would you like to watch the social dilemma clip or the great hat clip? I'm inclined to show you the social dilemma next.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, let's watch that. And then I'll show you stare into the light, like my critics at the end.
The Netflix thing?
Yeah.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident, that's a design technique. What I want people to know is that everything they're doing online is being watched, is being tracked. Every single action you take is carefully monitored and recorded.
A lot of people think Google's just a search box and Facebook's just a place to see what my friends are doing. What they don't realize is there's entire teams of engineers whose job is to use your psychology against you. I was the co-inventor of...
What's brilliant about this documentary is these are the people that have invented the tech. They know what they're talking about, right? And they don't have to say this. They're millionaires, but they're saying there's a social problem here, there's a dilemma.
Facebook like button was the president of Pinterest.
Google,
Twitter, Instagram.
There were meaningful changes happening around the world because of these platforms. I think we were naive about the flip side of that coin.
You get rewarded by hearts, likes, thumbs up, and we conflate that with value, and we conflate it with truth.
A whole generation is more anxious, more depressed.
I always felt like fundamentally it was a force for good. I don't know if I feel that way anymore.
Okay, here's a test. McGilchrist, from what you know, why are people getting depressed about the internet?
They're thinking from the left brain.
Yes,
They're not thinking more on the right brain.
but more specifically.
So whatever they see, I believe they are accepting it as the true picture. And what it is,
People's right brains know when they're being tricked. So the mental health is your body saying this is not right. You're not being a true person. You are pretending to be something you are not. You are being a narcissist. You are doing this, you're doing that. And so the symptoms are the right brain saying stop. Right? But the culture is saying do it. And so it's causing trauma. You know?
Facebook discovered that they were able to affect real-world behavior and emotions without ever triggering the user's awareness.
Now, if you didn't get that the first time, I'll say that again. Affecting your thoughts, opinions, and actions, and you don't even know it. That is absolutely a revolution, but it's not a good one. Right? This woman here is the author of Capitalist Surveillance. She's a Harvard academic. She's very good. There's a very big book called Capitalist Surveillance. It's that thick, you don't have to read it. But what she says is very important.
They are completely clueless.
Fake news spreads 6 times faster than true news. We're being bombarded with rumors.
If everyone's entitled to their own facts, there's really no need for people to come together. In fact, there's really no need for people to interact.
We have less control over who we are and what we really believe.
If you want to control the population of your country, there has never been a tool as effective as Facebook.
And that's exactly what's happening.
We built these things and we have a responsibility to change it. The intention could be, how do we make the world better?
If technology creates mass chaos, loneliness, more polarization, more election hacking, more inability to focus on the real issues, we're toast.
This is checkmate on humanity.
Okay, so back to the notes. Any questions so far? Don't be afraid to ask. Is some of this coming as a shock to you, or do you think you knew it already?
No, we knew it, but now it's like we're getting into it and it's a shock. It's scary. Yes.
It is scary.
It's scary.
So, from a political economic perspective, as I said at the beginning, the internet is a mega machine of power. It's a machine above all machines. If there is a God, it almost has the power of God right now. And what's happening is that we are empowering it so that it will make decisions on our lives, and these decisions will be based on algorithms that have no sense of the value and sanctity of human life. Yeah? This is an inert machine that's programmed to make decisions. We think that's appropriate to use in education, in every walk of life. It's not appropriate. It's actually really, really stupid. So, the impact of globalization on communities, and it splits the community of the human brain. I think that's my words, but that's my adaptation of McGilchrist. So, it is, broadly speaking, yes. The bad news is that left brain is completely co-opted by big tech. The good news is that the right brain is the wise brain, is what I'm trying to teach you now. You don't have to accept it. It's not normal. You can live a better life. Yeah? Of course, the communities that virtual communities, digital communities that are created, they're not real communities. And they can never replace real communities. The obvious example here is, just imagine that the whole of the course that you've had so far with me was online.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's pretty different, isn't it? But that's where it's going. That's where it's going.
It's not even that. Like, if it was a virtual, it's semi-real. Like, we can talk. But what's happening now with megaverse, what's it called? Metaverse. It's insane. You're like delusional, and you're having friends with not real people, which is psychotic, honestly.
It is psychotic, and you're kind of talking about not just artificial intelligence, but virtual reality games.
Yeah.
And so you put on this headset,
Yeah.
and you go into this world, and that's literally what we're doing.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Instead of taking care of the very world that we depend on for our lives, that our ancestors have given us, and that our children will need to be healthy, we're escaping into this metaverse where we can do what we want. And that's the problem with the internet, because it teaches us that our actions have no consequences.
Yeah.
That's a big problem, because they do. They always have consequences. Right.
So it makes us feel that we are powerful, but actually it's trying to take away.
It's sinister.
Yeah.
It's sinister. So it aids bonding, so that's a superficial connection. That's like, oh, I've got 5,000 Facebook friends. Yeah, but you haven't got any friends. Yeah? Retreat from real community engagement. So again, you know, more people now interact online than they do with their next door neighbours or the people living in their street.
So true.
So the belief that the left brain social media system expressed negative emotions, narcissism, self-righteousness, paranoia, hate, anger, aggression, shame, disgust, don't have real consequences. These are the main emotions that are playing out on social media. They're the negative ones. And these are the emotions that lateralize to the left brain. Yeah? So it's actually destroying compassion. It's easier. Look at Israel. It's easier to kill Did you see the news yesterday?
Yeah.
You saw all the poor Palestinian people swarming for food.
Yeah.
You saw the helicopter view or just shoot them.
Yeah.
Because it's technology, you're miles away. You've got no social responsibility. This is where it's going. So in the virtual revolution clip that you saw just now, she said that the digital divide was about 20-25% of people use the internet. I think it's about 50% today, but at least half of the world today is poor, illiterate. If you're illiterate, you can't use the internet.
Yeah.
So it's not inclusive. It's not a global village. The only good thing about the internet is it's relatively cheap to go online. It doesn't cost a lot of money. But there are millions of poor people in less developed countries that are completely cut off and not included in this. So it bypasses uneducated people, poor people, and old people. It's elitist. The same human problems are being repeated on the internet. Not as Krotowski said in that clip, it's making humanity better. I know she does balance her argument with some bad things, but she's more on the positive side. By the way, I don't know her personally, but I follow her, and her opinion about the internet has now changed to something more negative. So, anyway, so those worst affected by economic globalization are least included. Yeah, poor people again. So it's really, it's become an elitist community for people with money and who can enjoy advertising. And virtual communities still reflect the same inequality that we had before the internet. Globalization transforms the vernacular of place, so that means that every city in the world, as a result of what we call gentrification, more office spaces that are used, financial centers that are using digital technology. So basically poor areas of a city get cleared, office blocks, and then they all become gentrified using digital. They all end up looking the same. Walk down the high street of any major Western capital city, but not just Western, they all look the same shops. This is McDonald's, Gap, you name it. This is globalization. It's not diversity and openness and inclusion. It's more totalitarian. So I mentioned campus surveillance, the woman that you saw with the big hair, she's Zuboff. Smartphones are actually spying devices. Not many people know that. You can, with the right, if you're a hacker, you know this. With the right knowledge, even if your phone's switched off,
the camera,
it's absolutely open. Everything on it is open to being appropriated and surveilled. Creeping normalcy is the idea that the way this tech has come into the world has been done in a typically stupid human left-brain way. We are told that it's a good thing and it's going to solve all these problems, but we're not given a choice. So take the university, for example. All the tech that's come into university, it was never ethically debated about how's this going to affect the classroom? How is ChatGPT going to help students learn to write essays, for example? Yeah? So, Yuval Noah Harari, I don't know if you've heard of him, he actually thinks AI is the biggest problem facing humans in the world, even bigger than climate change. And he says that our minds are being hacked. As I said to you already, it's causing mental illness, body dysmorphia. That means that people worry about a particular part of their body and they try to change it and they have operations and so on and so forth. Addiction, loneliness, anxiety, and depression. Do you all know what dopamine is?
Yeah.
So dopamine is a hormone it's a pleasure hormone. So we all need pleasure. We're programmed as animals, as organisms, to seek pleasure. And dopamine is the chemical, the hormone that's released when we experience pleasure. It's not an exaggeration to say, and this is a quotation from this amazing book called Techno-Feudalism by Yanis Varoufakis. Digital apps and gadgets are engineered to hit children's brains with dopamine. Video games, social media, gadgets and apps are engineered to keep young brains, that's your brains, glued, sorry about the mistake, to the screens by finding ways to reward them with hits. So every time, the reason we can't put our phones down is that we are constantly, our brains are receiving dopamine. You hear the ding, and you want to, oh, who is it? I need to see. Yeah? It's like, I don't know if you've heard of Pavlov and the experiment with the dog, and you ring a bell and the dog wants to eat. It's the same principle. That's, you know, anyway. Okay, so how are we doing for time? Okay, we're going to speed up slightly. So what I'm arguing is that the internet is now a purpose tool to manipulate and undermine democracy and to manufacture consent. So it doesn't disagree with the political economic perspective. Internet is an instrument of censorship, control, and information war. For example, in Gaza, most people are not seeing the starving, desperate Palestinian people through their digital feeds. So you talk about openness and democracy. I think if all of us could see, if you could see the footage of what's really happening in Gaza right now, we'd all be in the streets saying, you've got to stop this. Yeah? People living a mile away or less in Israel are not seeing the suffering of the Palestinians, despite the fact that we have digital technology. What's going on, guys? You know? Technofeudalism. This is the book that I just mentioned by Varoufakis. Brilliant, brilliant book. Just read it. It fits everything that I've been saying. Having privatized the internet, big tech has been able to replace capitalism's twin pillars, markets and profits, with its platforms and rents. So he's saying the new, it's not even capitalism anymore, it's basically slavery. With every click and scroll online, we labor, we give our work like serfs to increase its power. That is Marxist alienation of words. So, oh, I've timed that nicely. Any questions before we watch the last clip? Feeling depressed? It should be the opposite, because this is the only way out to understand it with your right brain. It's something we should celebrate. Should we watch the last clip? Yeah? Okay. The thing about the last clip is it's independent. It's not made with commercial money and power. This is not designed to promote a media academic's career. This is not designed to promote big tech. This is an independent documentary. One of the people that's interviewed in it is a famous American activist called Derek Jensen. It's really good. It's worth watching. We'll just watch the first few minutes. This is normal, isn't it? This is so-called normal. This is how we spend our lives. Do you ever have the sense that in the future, our future ancestors will look back and think those guys were crazy?
We live in a world of screens. More of us would know this if we look up and look around. Fingers that are glued to the screen, which are glued to the eyes, which are glued to the screen. Everywhere. Pervasive. We use them for work, play. But it's much more than that. The screens use us too. How did we get here? And where is this journey leading us? What does that even look like? And is it what we want? Is this culture's technology changing us in our society for the better? Does it empower all of us, like it claims to? Or does it only empower a select few at the expense of the many? What's the price we pay to live in this pervasive electronic world? This era is unprecedented, and perhaps never before has technology been so prolific and shaped our lives so intimately. And there's the dark side we don't talk about. Why is that? Is it because we're too busy being glued to the screen? Why do we shy away from questions about our collective addiction? What's lurking under the surface? Could it be that with this era, the stakes have also never been so high that we could get it wrong?
So creepy. I want to, I keep talking about Barry Blankets because I think he's really good, talking about feudalism. I want to quote something that I read just now because it just it blows your mind when you hear it in these terms. So here we go. So you know when we watched the clip with the advertising clip of Mad Men and Draper, the main character, yeah. So he links it with that.